The biting wind whispered tales of impossible heights. A world painted in shadows, yet vivid in the mind's eye. This is the story of a man who saw more with his heart than many do with their eyes. Meet Omar Hassan, a name that now echoes among the peaks. Omar wasn't born blind. He grew up in the shadow of towering mountains, their jagged tops a constant invitation. As a boy, he'd scramble up small hills, his laughter carried on the wind, his eyes drinking in the vast green valleys and the endless blue sky. He was a natural climber, strong and agile, his spirit as free as an eagle. Then, one day, the world began to dim. A rare illness, like a thief in the night, stole his sight, bit by bit. The vibrant greens turned to muted grays, then to utter blackness. The once clear lines of the mountains blurred and vanished. The change hit him hard. He felt lost, trapped in a silent, dark room. The joy of movement, the thrill of discovery, seemed to have left him forever. For a long time, Omar stayed inside, the vibrant boy replaced by a quiet, sad shadow. But the mountains, though unseen, still called to him. He remembered the feeling of the rough rock under his hands, the cool kiss of the wind on his face, the sense of achievement as he reached a summit. One evening, as the familiar scent of pine filled the air, a crazy thought sparked in his mind. Could he still climb? Could he find his way back to the heights, not with his eyes, but with his other senses, with his raw determination? It was a wild idea, a challenge that seemed impossible. But for Omar, it was the only challenge worth taking. He decided then and there, he would climb again. The unseen ascent. Omar's journey back to the mountains was slow and filled with stumbles, both literal and figurative. He started in his backyard, learning to feel the texture of the ground with his feet, to sense changes in elevation, to trust his hands to guide him. His best friend, Kareem, a seasoned climber and a loyal companion, became his eyes. Kareem described every crack, every foothold, every overhang. He taught Omar to feel the wind's direction, to understand how sound bounced off rock faces, to truly listen to the mountain. Their first real climb together was a small, familiar peak, one Omar had scaled many times before. But this time, it was a completely new experience. He moved slowly, his hands constantly exploring the rock, his feet testing every surface before committing. He relied on Kareem's steady voice, guiding him, encouraging him. There were moments of fear, of doubt, when the darkness seemed to press in, making the climb feel insurmountable. But then he'd remember the exhilaration, the freedom, the feeling of being alive that only climbing gave him. As they climbed higher, Omar began to discover new ways of seeing. He felt the subtle changes in temperature that hinted at a crevice. He heard the distant cry of a hawk, telling him about the vastness of the space around him. He smelled the damp earth and the fragrant wildflowers, painting a vivid picture in his mind. The mountain was no longer just a visual landscape, it was a symphony of touch, sound, and scent. Each successful hand placement, each firm step, filled him with a quiet triumph. News of Omar's remarkable climb spread. People were amazed, inspired by his unwavering spirit. He faced many difficulties, sudden changes in weather, slippery rocks, the constant need for perfect coordination with Kareem. But with each challenge overcome, his confidence grew. He wasn't just climbing mountains, he was breaking down barriers, showing the world that limitations are often just perceptions. He climbed higher and higher, eventually tackling peaks that many sighted climbers found difficult. The summit of inspiration. Finally, after years of dedicated training and countless climbs, Omar stood at the base of his ultimate goal, Mount Cinder, a towering, jagged peak known for its unforgiving terrain. The weather was harsh, the air thin, and the climb seemed to defy all logic. But Omar, guided by Kareem's unwavering support and his own incredible inner strength, began the ascent. It was the hardest climb of his life. Every muscle ached, every breath was a struggle. The wind howled like a banshee, threatening to push them off the narrow ledges. There were times when the cold numbed his fingers, making it hard to feel the rock. Yet, he pushed on, driven by an invisible fire within him. He trusted Karim completely, their bond stronger than any rope. He felt the subtle shifts in the rock, sensed the unseen dangers, and relied on his immense internal map of the mountain. After what felt like an eternity, Karim's voice cracked with emotion. "Omar. We're here. We made it." Omar reached out, his hands finding the cold, flat surface of the summit. He couldn't see the breathtaking view, the endless sea of clouds, or the distant mountain ranges. But he felt it. He felt the biting wind, the vast emptiness around him, the immense quiet that only comes at the top of the world. He felt the warmth of the sun on his face, even though he couldn't see its light. He smiled, a genuine, joyful smile that reached his soul. He had not just climbed a mountain, he had climbed over the mountain of his own fears and limitations. The lesson, Omar's journey teaches us that true vision comes not from our eyes, but from our hearts and minds. It shows us that challenges, no matter how big, can be overcome with courage, determination, and a strong belief in ourselves. It reminds us that support from others is invaluable, and that our perceived limitations are often just starting points for extraordinary achievements. Even when the path ahead is dark, if we listen to our inner strength, we can reach incredible heights.